We had a very interesting and frightening presentation from a guy from Spain that talked about they're supposedly way ahead of us. And I think that President Obama held them up as a good example. And they talked about what they've done in terms of global warming, and it was very frightening to me, because what they did was they basically issued all of these permits, and they gave all sorts of citizens all over Spain a special deal so that you could put up windmills or solar panels and sell electricity back into the electric grid at a certain rate per kilowatt. And it was a pretty profitable rate, so you could actually pay for these solar panels and windmills. And so you have a tremendous amount of electricity now coming from all of these little private people all over the country who built windmills and solar panels and are putting it into the grid. Well, that's good until the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow.
Right.
And so the result was you've got major companies like Alcoa. There's certain industries that use a tremendous amount of energy, and aluminum is one of those. And Alcoa says, yeah, but when the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining, we can't make aluminum, so by the way, we're going to take our aluminum plant and go somewhere else, like to America.
So we're going to have more global warming.
So I guess, so the bottom line is you got a 17% unemployment in Spain. And the thing, this is what scared me, and that is now you try to reverse what was set up. And you've got thousands upon thousands of people all over Spain that have a vested interest in keeping their windmill going and their solar panel going. So you created a political system that's very hard to reverse that pattern. And the thing that concerns me, I think there are a lot of environmentalists that have brought up good points that we need to be paying attention. I'm a huge outdoorsman, but also I believe in science. And the question is if even if you buy all of the assumptions about global warming, assuming all of that, still the logical way to reduce CO2 is not the way that we're approaching it. And what I was seeing was global warming was merely an excuse for excessive federal government involvement in everybody's life. I mean, if you're really honest and you really cared about CO2, you would immediately go to using nuclear to generate your electrical power. That's from an engineering point of view. This is clean. And what the French have done, they took our technologies. We went to a French reprocessing plant, and it was all designed by U.S. engineers in the 70s. And you walk in and you think, I mean, just the way that the furniture and the buildings look, you think you're going to hear the Beach Boys coming out of the PA system, you know? And this is designed by our engineers a long time ago. And they've come up with actually a very sophisticated means of taking the spent material from a nuclear reactor, reprocessing it, and sending the stuff back through and burning it a second time in the reactors. And it reduces the amount of waste, which is always one of the big objections to nuclear power. It reduces the waste to about 3 or 4% of the original fuel, but they combine that with basically sand and turn it into this sort of black colored glass. And so it reduces the half-life by something like 10 times, and the volume is reduced by over 10 times.